So my second assigned story is The Seventh Dwarf by Franz Hessel. Excuse my accent. Um, this is about, well, as you know, there's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. But this was pre-Disney, so this is before Disney was thing. And Disney trolls, they're pretty adorable, But these little buggers, these are nightmare fuel. Like, look at these things. You know what I mean? So you could see what she would see. Like, these are not the most friendliest looking creatures there are. Like, nothing here is remotely nice. Some of these are humongous, some of these are small. Look at these things, whatever those are. And they say that trolls were demons in this 19th century. So who knows what they were like then in that exact story. But for sure we know they weren't that nice looking. So the seventh dwarf is about the seventh dwarf, and usually how we know in the hierarchy of the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh brother is the seventh brother is usually the one who's always left out, but is seemingly he becomes the most important. He becomes the most noble or nicest, and that's exactly what happens in the seventh dwarfs. So let's start off with the seventh dwarf. Um, you all know Snow White stayed with us and what happened, but nobody knows me. This is when they find her. She slept in the same bed as me. She tried the others and found them too small. Mine was also too small, but she continued to sleep there. He didn't mind this as he shared his bed with the sixth brother. Yet he couldn't fall asleep because he couldn't take his eyes off the beautiful creature in my bed. He had as I can't say confidently, but he had, not like the other trolls, but he had a, how do I say, I guess you could say, a liking towards Snow White, and he he had met the tiny woman and Moss. They're darlings, but not too much affection in it. So this basically, the second paragraph is just explaining that he basically finds her above all else. The kisses he threw at him were something else to him. His heart pounded furiously like a silver hammer since he was last at the door, the sevens. He loved the way, because in the third paragraphs, yeah, the way she kept the house for us, it was charming. There were always flowers on the table, but she managed to sweep up the dust in the corners. I had to go all. She never managed to sweep up the dust in the corners. I had to go over them with my sixth brother. I did gladly. You all know that we had some bad luck with Snow White. It was I who pulled all the wicked. This fourth paragraph is explaining the wicked witch, the wicked stepmom, how he was indeed the one who found out about the corset, the poison comb, and the poisonous apple. But he couldn't help it because, as it says here in the sixth paragraph, Snow White was as good as dead. Uh, Snow White was as good as dead. There's nothing they could do to help, but we built a glass coffin. Um, he then carried her through the forest, and he met the amazing man, which is the prince. He had bright blue feathers on his cape, a smooth jersey, puff sleeves, tight pants, everything tight. You know how princes are, hunks. So he gave, for some reason, they gave the the prince wanted this dead girl's body so badly, so they apparently just gave it to him. The seventh dwarf is the only one who feels the same way I did, as that's a little strange, you know what I mean? It's a dead woman, but okay. They gave him the casket, the coffin that they made as a gift to him. He was against it, as it says right here in the eighth paragraph, that he was against this. He didn't like it, obviously. So he was the only one who ran after the prince's coffin bearers. They walk obviously along. They're humans. He's a troll, so he's a small troll, I guess. So they walked rapidly with their long human feet. So I had to hop as fast as I could, and he caught up to them. He wanted to see Snow White's face one last time, because oh shoot, my bad. he wanted to see Snow White's face one last time because he loved her. He cared for her the most of it out of all of them, because he's the one who showed that. Because they gave him out, and he was the one who actually really cared for her like that. So, he caught up to them with the long-legged man and rushed up in order to get a last look at the glass coffin from the front. I frightened one of the bearers. That's also a great way to know that those trolls are not all that cute. Sure, you do get frightened if they're cute, but the 19th centuries, man, these buggers were something. Spawns of hell. Gosh. But he tripped. I frightened when he stumbled. The lost the balance, and the coffin swayed on their shoulders. They set it down. They looked inside. I too looked inside through their legs. The top opened, and Snow White was alive. Excuse me, my yawn. Snow White was alive. She held a piece of apple peel in her hand. It had popped out of her mouth somehow, so she never swallowed the apple. That's what's different. Then she said to herself, "Where am I?" And then the prince replied, "With me." And then she sank into his arms, and they rode together off on the horse. The poor troll, seventh dwarf, actually, stood still and had to witness all of this. And to this very day, excuse me, I'm sick and this seems to really hit me. Snow White still doesn't know that she owes her life to me, nor does her handsome prince, and she probably doesn't know how much I loved her. She probably thinks about the seven dwarfs every now and then, especially when the children sing about the seven dwarfs who live beyond the mountains. But I'm sure she has long since forgotten me. The last one's the seventh. So it ends off, these last two paragraphs, how after all he did, he saved her life multiple times. And he was, even though not the direct reason, but he was a cause to the fact that she did come back alive, because it knocked the apple out of her mouth. And that he did all that, and she never knew. She's not going to know about it. She doesn't remember it, apparently. Or if she did, she doesn't know. Really, I don't think she actually. I think that she doesn't know it occurred. And the prince is living happy ever after with the Snow White, and Seven Dwarfs never got his full on appreciation, and he has to bear down with the fact that even though he had all this love for that prince, that he'll never see her again. These tales are honestly quite sad, but that's the plot. The plot of this is basically in a wholesome of the Seven Dwarf, which is the most how would I say, not overused, but he was used, not used, I don't know the word I'm describing, but he was most unappreciated, that's the word. He was very unappreciated, and it shows all he did for the princess. It shows everything that he's done for the princess, from loosening the corset, as again, the poisonous comb, just eventually resurrecting her from the dead. Not intentionally, but he still did it. But he did all that just for in the end, for someone to steal all what he's done, and she move on past him. That's the Seven Doors. That's honestly a very sad tale.